Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at sustainability in the semiconductor industry.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, and we've got a really interesting stack of material to go through today. We've got stuff like the SRC MAPT roadmap,
Right.
and even some semiconductor PFAS consortium reports.
Interesting.
And then we've even got a notice of funding opportunity from Nist,
Okay.
the National Institute of Standards and Technology.
Nice.
Oh,
Sounds like a lot to cover.
yeah, it is, but we're going to deep dive into it, synthesize all of the important points so you don't have to read it yourself. So,
I'm ready when you were.
let's just jump into it. So, first off, I think it's really interesting some of the things that I learned in this deep dive. Did you know that making semiconductors uses like a ton of water?
I mean, I knew it used water. I didn't know it was that much.
Like as much as a small city?
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then there's also the materials used. Some of them aren't really environmentally friendly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they've got some issues, but the cool part is that AI is actually coming in to try and find solutions.
I love that.
Yeah. Think like self-driving labs, you
Yeah.
know? AI, it's really changing things up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you said, a lot to cover, so let's just jump right into it. So, the semiconductor industry, they're really under increasing pressure to become more sustainable.
For sure.
Industry reports, like I mentioned earlier, the Semiconductor Research Corporation, the SRC, and the Semiconductor PFAS Consortium, their reports really highlight this shift.
Yeah, I was reading those reports earlier, and they were fascinating.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just talk. These companies are actually setting some pretty ambitious targets for themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some major semiconductor manufacturers are aiming to reuse, restore, or recycle something like 75% of the water they use.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
That's a big deal, yeah.
What kind of impact do you think that could have?
I mean, if you think about how much water these companies use, it's billions of gallons every year. So if they can actually hit those targets, that would be a huge step forward, definitely.
Absolutely. But it's not just the water usage, though.
Right.
There are certain PFAS chemicals that are super essential for making these chips. But they're also facing a lot of scrutiny right now.
And rightfully so. They're really persistent in the environment.
Yeah.
There's some health concerns, too.
Definitely, yeah. And actually, some major suppliers are even considering pulling out of the market completely.
It's a tough situation. We need these chemicals for chip manufacturing.
Right.
But the risks are serious. What do we do?
Yeah, it seems like kind of this balancing act, pushing for these greener manufacturing practices, but also meeting this crazy demand for faster, more powerful chips. So can we actually have both? Can we have high performance and sustainability?
That's the million-dollar question, right? We need to maintain or even exceed the current performance standards that we have, but we also need to meet these new sustainability goals.
Right.
So it's a tough challenge, but I think that AI could be a game changer here.
Absolutely. AI, it's all about speed and efficiency.
Exactly.
So it seems like it's really picking up where that materials genome initiative left off, which for our listeners, if you're not familiar with that, look that up.
It's worth a read.
It's a good one. But AI it really has the potential to just completely analyze tons of data, simulate experiments, and even identify these promising new materials so much faster than we ever could have before.
I think we're potentially talking about cutting down development time from years to months.
Oh, absolutely. And there are already some really interesting examples of this happening. One company, they used AI to narrow down replacements for toxic materials.
Oh, wow.
And they went from a pool of over 10,000 down to just 100.
That's amazing. What company was that?
I don't remember the specific name, but we'll link it in the show notes.
Perfect.
But yeah. And then there's DARPA.
I love DARPA projects.
They're so cool. So they funded this self-driving lab.
Wait, a self-driving
Well,
lab?
I know. That's what I thought too.
What does that even mean?
It uses AI to basically identify all these promising materials, and get this, they identified 21 promising materials out of over 150,000 candidates in just 2 months.
That's incredible. It's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Exactly. So it's really remarkable, and these examples really show just how powerful AI can be in solving these complex material science challenges.
Yeah, this is really exciting stuff.
Yeah, so how does all this AI-driven material discovery actually work? Can you paint a picture for us?
Sure. Imagine a system where AI is doing all the hard work. We call it an Aiae system, which stands for Artificial Intelligence Autonomous Experimentation. You can think of it like a chef experimenting with new recipes. but the chef has this incredibly smart AI sous chef helping out.
So the AI is like the sous chef in the lab.
Exactly. You've got robots doing the experiments, mixing materials, testing their properties, all guided by algorithms.
Yeah.
Then the AI analyzes all the results, looking for patterns that humans might miss, and then these decision algorithms, they're constantly learning from the data and refining the search for that perfect material.
Wow. So instead of scientists spending years mixing and testing things manually, they can now use AI to speed up the whole process and discover new materials way faster.
Exactly. It's all about going from concept to creation much more efficiently.
This is really incredible. And it seems like Nist is really stepping up to support this type of research.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've got this huge funding opportunity. We're talking $100 million.
Wow, that's serious money.
That's a lot of money. It's through their Nist CHIPS R&D program, and it was launched as part of the CHIPS Act. So it's a major initiative, really trying to push the U.S. to be the leader in semiconductor technology by 2030.
And a big part of that is workforce development.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Training the next generation of researchers and engineers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we have the talent to support all this innovation.
Definitely. So this Notice of Funding Opportunity, the NOFO, it's a huge opportunity for anyone in this field. $100 million potentially available for projects focusing on AI-augmented materials discovery for sustainable semiconductor manufacturing. And you know what's really cool?
What's that?
They don't require any cost share.
Oh, wow. That's pretty rare for a grant of that size.
I know. Of course, they encourage co-investment, but not requiring it makes it so much easier for people to actually get involved.
That's a really great way to encourage participation.
Right. And it's really structured to create a much more inclusive R&D ecosystem. The NOFO specifically mentions involving emerging research institutions, or ERIs.
Oh, that's fantastic. Giving them a chance to be at the forefront of this research.
Exactly. So this NOFO, it basically focuses on three main things, or operational areas.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about those?
Absolutely. So the first area, they call it OA1, is all about bringing together everyone involved. Industry leaders, researchers, even civil society organizations. The goal is to create a roadmap for the future of sustainable semiconductor manufacturing. It's about making sure everyone's on the same page and that the research being done actually meets real-world needs.
So it's like fostering collaboration and making sure everyone's working towards the same goal.
Precisely. Now, OA2, that's where the magic happens. This is about actually building the infrastructure for all this Aiae research. Funding for equipment, staffing, and of course, developing those sophisticated AI systems for materials discovery.
That sounds like a huge undertaking.
It is, but it's essential. And then there's OA3, which is all about the people. This is about training students and faculty, preparing them to be leaders in this new field, making sure we have the talent pipeline to support this innovation in the long term.
Wow, so it's not just about funding a few projects, it's about creating this entire sustainable ecosystem for AI-driven innovation in semiconductor manufacturing.
It's a long-term vision.
Absolutely. And that's why having these ERIs involved is so important. If they're given the resources and the expertise, they can become major players, contributing to a more diverse and competitive research landscape.
It's exciting to see these institutions being given the opportunity to really shine.
It is. It's really inspiring to see how AI is being used for real-world problems. But before we go even deeper into all this, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about what this all means for you, our listener. Okay, so we've been talking about all this potential AI has in this industry.
Yeah.
And it's clear that it's a super powerful tool, to help drive innovation and sustainability.
Yeah.
So let's think about what this actually means for you, our listener.
Okay.
Like, what does it all mean for you?
Good question.
If you're into tech, you like innovation, this is a big deal.
Absolutely.
This AI-powered materials discovery, it's going to change so many industries.
Oh, yeah. Way beyond just semiconductors.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking like everything.
Everything.
Batteries, solar panels, even medicine and aerospace.
It's crazy.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
We're about to be able to just develop any material we want.
Oh, wow.
With whatever properties we need on demand.
On demand.
And they'll not only be high performing, but they'll also be environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
And ethically sourced.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's like we've got this recipe book for the future, but instead of cakes, we're creating the building blocks for a better world.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
So for those of you listening who, you care about the environment, this is really hopeful research.
For sure.
Imagine a world where, our phones and our computers don't have this massive environmental cost.
Right. This research could really lead to some amazing breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Like, imagine using way less water, finding replacements for all those toxic chemicals, and just creating less waste in general.
Yeah.
It's a step towards a true circular economy.
Right, where we're using our resources responsibly. It's not like a perfect solution. Yeah. Obviously, there's still a lot of challenges and questions to answer.
Definitely.
But this research is like a huge step in the right direction.
It is.
And then, you know, for those of you interested in AI, this is like a real-world, tangible example.
Real-world application.
Yes, of how powerful it can be.
It's not just about, like, self-driving cars anymore or facial recognition.
Right.
This is like AI is being used to tackle these huge, massive problems.
These humanity's biggest challenges.
And that's just really inspiring to me.
It is. And the semiconductor industry is just one example.
Right, we're seeing AI used in healthcare to develop new drugs and treatments.
Yeah.
It's being used in climate science to, like, predict climate change.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. And I think we're only just starting to see what it can really do.
Oh, absolutely. So before we wrap up, let's just recap what we talked about today. So the semiconductor industry, it's facing this challenge of like meeting the demand for these crazy powerful chips, but also trying to like be nice to the environment.
Sustainable, yeah.
Sustainable, yeah.
We need both.
We need both.
And AI can help us get there.
AI is the bridge, potentially.
It really has the potential to speed things up, find those sustainable solutions we desperately need.
Totally. And then we talked about Nist and their big funding opportunity.
$100 million?
$100 million.
Yeah.
Focused on all this AI-augmented material discovery for sustainable semiconductor manufacturing.
This huge opportunity.
Huge. But it's important to remember, like, this is not a solo mission.
No, definitely not.
This has to be collaborative.
Researchers, industry leaders, policymakers.
Even everyday people.
Yeah, like you listening.
We all have to work together to make this happen.
If we want a more sustainable future.
Exactly. So here's something to think about. We've talked about all the good things, but, you know, with any new technology, there can be some downsides.
For sure. Unforeseen consequences.
Exactly.
We can't just focus on the benefits and ignore the risks.
Right. So as we embrace all this amazing new tech, we also need to be mindful of the potential downsides.
We need to find that balance.
Balance, yeah.
Between, like, you know, progress and being responsible.
Yeah, responsibility. So do your own research, you know?
Look into it.
Explore the sources that we've mentioned.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning.
This deep dive is just a starting point.
Exactly. And we'll be back with more deep dives.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot more to explore.
Uncovering those hidden connections.
And hopefully sparking those aha moments.
Yes. We've covered so much today.
A lot of ground, yeah.
From the challenges that the semiconductor industry is facing.
Those big challenges.
To the potential of AI.
Huge potential.
To drive sustainability.
It's been really interesting.
Yeah, and we've seen how these two things, technology and environmental consciousness, are really coming together to create opportunities for innovation and growth.
Huge opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've looked at how initiatives like the Nist NOFO are really like paving the way.
Yeah, setting the stage
for a more sustainable future.
For semiconductors and beyond. Really.
And beyond, yeah. It's such a dynamic field.
It is, constantly evolving.
With huge implications.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into all of this, I want to leave you with one last thought.
I'm listening.
What we've talked about today, it really highlights how important it is to stay informed, stay engaged. With all these advancements that are shaping the world around us.
Every day.
Yeah, it's moving so fast.
Whether you're like super into tech or an environmental advocate.
Or just like a regular person who cares about the future.
It impacts all of us.
It does.
So we really encourage you to, you know, keep learning.
Yeah, keep exploring.
Ask questions.
Be part of the conversation.
Yes, because ultimately, the future is shaped by those who are curious and engaged.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. For this deep dive into the world of sustainable semiconductor manufacturing.
And the amazing potential of AI.
Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.